Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Love Alchemy, the place for divine love transformation. And I am your host, Tamara Hansen, love alchemist, Reiki master, and meditation instructor. And I did mean to post this podcast or publish this podcast a couple of weeks ago, but time got away from me. I've been working on my book called Love Alchemy, The Sacred Journey to Self-Love. And as you know, this book has been a labor of love for me, no pun intended. I will be publishing this book very soon because I'm just reaching the final editing stages. And my goal is to have it published at some point before the summertime. So stay tuned for that. Also, there are a few other things that I just need to make note of. And I do have online, on-demand workshops on self-love, meditation, and everything in between. And these workshops assist in discovering the true love within. So, as you know, self-love isn't about the bubble baths or the massages. Those are just aspects of self-love, of self-care, taking care of ourselves. Self-love is about consistent nurturing, nourishment, and care for yourself. So today's topic, drum roll please, is chasing bliss, navigating the path to happiness. So this is a big topic because I believe that most of us operate from this lower level frequency of happiness, a kind of functioning happiness, only so happiness. And I think you know what I'm talking about here. But what is happiness? What is happiness to one person may not be happiness to another person. But then we are talking about how things or situations make ourselves happy or make happiness possible. I mean, this is true to a certain point on this physical plane, but happiness is about positive emotions. But the type of happiness we want to experience doesn't have to do with going on that trip or going to that event or job or whatever. Happiness, the happiness we are talking about today, is the bliss we feel just because. So unconditional happiness. So Deepak Chopra has a formula for happiness. H equals S plus C plus V. So happiness equals the brain set point plus condition of living plus voluntary choices. Ram Dass said, our thinking minds deprive us of the happiness that comes when we are living fully in the moment. And in her 2007 book, The How of Happiness, positive psychology researcher Sonia Lyubomirsky, and I think I butchered that, elaborates, describing happiness as the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well-being combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. And then further to this, Abraham Hicks said, happiness is being in alignment with your vortex. And I believe that Abraham Hicks also said, basically, our lives or happiness is just a string of happy events or happy emotions. So not really just one event or that you're consistently happy, but just a string of happy moments. But also this Abraham Hicks quote of happiness being in alignment with your vortex kind of relates or aligns to what Ram Dass said. I think most importantly, our happiness is dependent on if we are aligned with our divine selves, the larger part of who we are. If we are stuck on this 3D realm of existence, solely basing our happiness on our relationships, our friendships, job, money, love, etc., then this isn't true happiness. Just like being dependent on another to show us love, to make us feel lovable. If we aren't doing the inner work and discovering the love within, then the love or happiness and joy is just superficial. This isn't to say the tangibleness of our 3D world isn't important. Of course it is. We are physical beings. That is why we are here in this material existence, to experience the physicalness of life, to expand and grow through our experiences, but also to come back around to connecting to our divine selves, to understanding that we are divine. It's an enmeshment of physical and spiritual. But what does the science say about happiness? So current research studies, for instance, we have learned a lot about what happiness is and what drives us. There are some recent studies showing that money can only buy happiness up to about $75,000. After that, it has no real significant effect or emotional well-being. Most of our happiness is not determined by our genetics, but by our experiences and our day-to-day lives. And if we try too hard to find happiness, sometimes it has the opposite effect and can actually lead us to being selfish. Also, if we pursue happiness through our social life, like spending more time with family and friends, then we're likely to be very happy. It's actually more effective to have that, to engage in that social time with those people that we care about. And the pursuit of happiness is one place where we should forget about those SMART goals. It actually is more advantageous to pursue vague goals rather than specific ones. And if we kind of look at that, why that is the case, it's because if we are specifically looking at what we want to achieve and then we attach ourselves to that, then we are going to be unhappy when those goals don't manifest exactly how we pictured them to be. So when we have vague happiness goals, then we're just kind of throwing things out there a little bit, and then if whatever comes up that's positive or that brings us some joy, then that our happiness meter actually elevates or goes up. Also, happiness actually makes us just better people. Happiness can lead to our own career success. And really, what researchers have said is that experimentally enhancing positive emotions can contribute to our improved work outcomes. And also, there is a relationship between our religious or spiritual involvement and our happiness. So higher worship service attendees actually correlates to more commitment to faith, that commitment to faith can be related to a greater compassion. And those who are more compassionate are more likely to provide more support. And those who provide more support are likely to be more happy. So we can see that happiness, or different aspects or different areas, can bring us happiness and joy into our lives. But the brain is neuroplastic, meaning it is malleable, meaning you can teach an old dog new tricks. And just because we think and feel one way doesn't mean that that is how it will always be. Imagine your brain like electrical wires. And an electrician comes in and puts in new wires, and the wires are crossed. It's done improperly. Now things aren't working to full capacity, and the electricity is malfunctioning. The lights are not working, or they're flickering. The oven cuts in and out. It's a complete mess. Now everything needs to be rewired to function properly again. And this is the brain that needs to be rewired to happiness. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, I mean, he's great. A lot of research on the heart and the brain and happiness and changing your life. If you haven't seen him, he's well-spoken, articulate. His books are fantastic. Go check him out. Check him out on YouTube. He's got a lot of videos. So that's Dr. Joe Dispenza. But he says, the point is true happiness has nothing to do with pleasure, because the reliance on feeling good for such intensely stimulating things only moves us further from joy. Reason this: when you think from your past memories, you can only create past experiences, as all of the knowns in your life cause your brain to think and feel in familiar ways, thus creating knowable outcomes. You continually reaffirm your life as you know it. And since your brain is equal to your environment, then each morning your senses plug you into the same reality and initiate the same stream of consciousness. So this goes hand in hand with creating our own reality. So if we are waking up in the morning and feeling the same way that we do every single day, and it's creating the same stuff, and if we don't like what we are creating or how we are feeling, then we need to change it. So waking up in the morning and you check in with yourself, check in with what's happening within you, your emotions, your thoughts, what your body is telling you. If it is not what you want or like, so you wake up sad or mad or angry or frustrated or just not wanting to go to work, and that is something consistent, then that's something that needs to be addressed and shifted. So Dr. Joe also said that when you are in these lower frequency states of being, you can only see or perceive things equal to the emotion that you're experiencing. The more you live in this state, the more it's almost as if you're looking for or creating a reason to be frustrated. Either way, as you feed that feeling, which produces a set of chemicals in your body equal to that feeling, that kind of interaction between your internal and external world causes things to get worse. The result is that you become more frustrated, more fearful, and more impatient. And so from this perspective, we are constantly chasing bliss, waiting for the next thing to happen, waiting for things to level up or to make us feel good. And that's okay. The only thing is that we can get trapped in it, trapped in the waiting, stuck in a lower frequency because we are waiting for something to happen, to change, to make us feel better. The thing is, this isn't possible if we are constantly focused on the waiting until that day. So how do we get there? So Abraham Hicks said, a happy life is just a string of happy moments. And I think I mentioned that earlier. But maybe it is our connection to our true source, to our divinity, that creates that frequency of happiness. This is about alignment. This is understanding our true selves, knowing that we are love and loved, that we are divine, having a physical experience. And Ralph Waldo Emerson said that we are gods playing the fool. Ram Dass had said, treat everyone you meet like they are God in drag. So if we can understand that we are all higher consciousness, or that we are a spark of the divine, or that we are, like Rumi said, we're not a drop in the ocean, we are an ocean in a drop. And when we begin to understand that and embrace that, then we begin to see our own divine selves, and that aligns us with our happiness. Our hearts need alignment to our godlike, divine, higher selves, the connection to this divinity, to this divine source. This is a coming home, a coming back to ourselves, to who we are. And this is our happiness. The other stuff, the ego stuff, the physical stuff, while a whole part of this time in this vessel, this body, is just an experience. This is why the Buddha said to take the middle road. Have no attachments to your aversions or your cravings. When we have attachment to things, to people, to situations, that is where we find suffering. Our bliss is found in the non-attachment, in the flow of life, and being in the present moment. Actually, Buddha's cure for suffering was to find the root cause of that suffering. He suggested to cure the suffering would be to follow the Eightfold Path. So, our relentless need to fulfill never-ending cravings produces dukkha. And it becomes just like a hamster wheel where you are constantly on this never-ending cycle. Because when we think that we have satisfied something, a craving, we want to have something even bigger and more, which leads to more of our dissatisfaction. And when we realize the nature of this reality, we can end this suffering. And that's part of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, which is, this one is the right view, right understanding. The next one is right intention, or right thought. And as we know, thoughts are very powerful. And when we get on this cycle of desires and cravings, it never ends until we choose to allow it to end, to become more focused and mindful. So that means we allow ourselves to commit to a lifestyle of improving ourselves and to leveling up, to having an intention, to living from the heart. The next one is the right speech, because words are so powerful and they can affect lives. They can affect how we see things. They can affect changing things. So the Buddha had suggested not to lie, not to gossip, not to hurt others with words, and to avoid idle chatter. So basically, be courteous, be compassionate, come from a place of love. Have your words come from a place of love. Not just to other people, but to yourself as well. And then we have right action. Thoughts influence our actions, and they influence who we become, who we are. So the Buddha had recommended that we don't harm anyone, practice ahimsa, that's nonviolence, do not cheat or steal or lie, and avoid sexual misconduct and help others. Then we have right livelihood, make a living through legal and peaceful means. Buddha also advises to avoid anything that, any livelihoods that might deal with weapons or with living things like people or animals, meat and butchery, and intoxicants. The next one is right effort. So the Buddha had suggested or indicated that there were different levels of right effort, and to live from this place of right effort. So the lowest level might be to prevent bad thoughts or bad feelings. And then the next level would be to get rid of a bad thought or feeling. And then after that, have good thoughts and feelings. And then at the highest level, which does require a little bit more effort on our part, a little bit more practice, would be to maintain and perfect a wholesome or good state of mind, and subsequently a good and wholesome state of being. So basically making an effort to live from that higher place of consciousness. And then the one after that is right mindfulness. And mindfulness is one of the most influential teachings that can be found in Buddhism, and that is seeing things as they are. So that is through, mindfulness is through contemplation of the body, contemplation of feelings, contemplation of states of mind, contemplations of phenomena. And so when we are mindful on these things, these feelings, on the mind, on the body, creating that mindfulness of the world, of ourselves, and opening up our mind to seeing the bigger picture, to seeing something so much greater beyond ourselves, then we are focused on something that creates expansion and growth in this world, something that creates more compassion. Because when we are seeing things from the bigger picture, from within us and outside of us, we're creating that mindfulness, that focus. Then we begin to understand not only ourselves, but the outside world and other people. And next we have right concentration. Right concentration is about disciplining the mind. And we can do this through meditation. And there are 4 stages, or dhyana, according to Buddha. The first stage is basically concentrating to the point of, or meditating on to the point of where you are releasing and letting go of those mental hindrances, those things that kind of hold you back, the mind that keeps you on a loop of those negative thoughts, those negative emotions. And then the next is basically releasing those things, those activities that keep your mind focused on the things that keep you stuck or stagnant or sad, or keeps you stuck in that lower vibration, those lower frequencies, so that only bliss is left. And then after that stage, as you keep going further down into that deeper concentration, that deeper mindfulness, that deeper meditation, eventually bliss will disappear. And then finally, all sensations bliss, everything disappears, and you just have peace of mind. And this is what the Buddha says is a deeper sense of happiness. So even in this right concentration, as you go through these stages and you're releasing those things that are holding you back. So those old thoughts, those old patterns, anything that creates disharmony in your life, any past belief systems or events that happened in the past, whatever they are, you're letting those go. And then as you are going through the stages and you now are experiencing bliss, then eventually the bliss disappears because you're not relying on it. You're not relying on the bliss. And then in the final stage, you just are. You are just peace itself. And that is where that pure joy is, in just being, in that full alignment with your divine self, with your higher self, with the all that is. And that is deep happiness. And so while philosophers like Kant and Aristotle indicate that happiness was something that was achieved through desires, just like love, it is found within through your own alignment to your own source. And if we look at life as a place that we are learning and growing and remembering and coming to an awakening of who we truly are, then we begin to live differently. Now we're not looking at how somebody hurt us or what somebody else did to us or how things don't appear to be going our way. If we are living from that space of pure alignment to our higher selves, of knowing that we are just these physical bodies, but we are mostly energy or spirit, and that we're here just in this playground having this physical experience and choosing to do things how we want to do them and aligning to our true source, then we can live unconditionally, unconditional love, unconditional happiness. So to end this podcast, we will do a mindful meditation. Of course, if you are driving as you are listening or operating heavy machinery, please save the meditation for another time when it is safe to do so. And if you are able to focus now and close your eyes, then please get into a comfortable position and take a deep breath in and slowly exhale, sighing it out. The breath is life force energy. Make sure to take deep breaths and give yourself what it is that you need. And allow your belly to rise and fall just gently. Just allowing yourself to become one with the breath. Focusing your attention on the breath, intending to align yourself with the breath, with who you are. And if you can, just visualize a light starting at the base of your spine. This beautiful light is moving up your spine with every inhale, all the way to the top of your head. And then with every exhale, the light goes down back into the base of your spine. And just allow this vision or this visualization to continue, this light flowing up and down your spine with every inhale and exhale. Becoming more and more in tune, more and more tapped into your body, into what is happening on the inside, listening to yourself. And just allowing the breath, the inhale and exhale, to relax your body, connecting you to your true source. This light is healing and nurturing you as it flows up and down your spine all the way to the top of your head and back down again. Sometimes we can get stuck, or our energy can get stuck, especially if we have been disappointed or frustrated by things, not really trusting in our own true self, our own true knowing. But the more that we align to ourselves, to our divinity, the easier it will be to tap into that and listen to that higher consciousness. The more that we will trust ourselves and trust our inner knowing. Just continue to allow that breath to flow up and down the spine. Becoming more aware and more mindful. And continue with this visualization a little bit longer. Focusing on the breath, focusing on that light. Allowing yourself to open up to the higher consciousness. Your bliss, your happiness can be found within and isn't based on conditions, but is already within you. Aligning to your true self, to your highest self, to your own divinity. And knowing that you are so much more than this physical awareness. Allowing yourself to bring heaven down to earth. And that life is not about suffering. Life is about knowing who you are, and that you can live from this blissful and happy state. consistently. And whenever you are faced with a frustration or a roadblock, just settle into it. Observe it. And know and trust that things will work out. That you are love, that you are connected to the divine, that your path is unfolding in this physical experience. So stay here as long as you like. Tapping into that bliss, that happiness. The peace within. And nurture it. Taking care of yourself on all levels. Thank you for being here. Namaste.